Welcome to the Off the Cuff podcast. We are back. Joy Winchester is with me, my neuroscience genius friend. Joy, how are you today?
Better than I deserve. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Before we get started, we want to tell all of our friends, you know what we call our friends, our community, right? They're the frontliners.
Ooh.
Yeah, they're the people on the front line, the mentors, the advocates, the youth leaders, the therapists, the counselors, the nurse, doctors, all kinds of people out there, parents, even grandparents, and they're all out there. And we want to tell them that, hey, you guys are on the front lines. We're excited about this information today. Our title for today is, and it's going to be one that you're going to absolutely love, the survival brain versus the thriving brain. So I'm reminded of Winnie the Pooh. You know, I love to give analogies. Joy, you reminded me of this not too long ago. Winnie the Pooh, and he's on this tree with Christopher Robin. And there's a central theme through the entire movie. And I believe that central theme is love and togetherness and all that kind of good stuff. Well, Christopher Robin is trying to break it to Pooh that, hey, man, I'm going to be leaving. But he didn't just come out and say it. Didn't want to hurt his feelings. And he's trying to tell him, he's like, what if I'm not there always? You're always going to be here. He's like, yeah, but what if I'm not? He's like, don't worry about that. So Christopher Robin says, if it ever happens, I want you to know something, Pooh. I want you to remember this. You're braver than you believe. You're stronger than you seem, and you're smarter than you think. Now, Joy, sometimes I don't think I'm as smart as I think. Sometimes it doesn't go that way, but that's pretty much what he wanted to leave with him. Now, I got to tell you, I was at a health fair, and this was very hard for me. Last week, I was at a health fair. Joy, you'll get a kick out of this. The doctor, I made it to the end of the health fair. It's like a 3-hour long event. I made it to the end, and the doctor said something that just crushed my life. I was getting ready to walk out of the door, and the doctor grabbed the microphone, and he said, I just want to let everybody out there know that are exercising and lifting weights and walking around and doing all the things that you need to do. Exercise is good. You got to have that. But he said this, Joy, and you're going to love it. He said, but you can't exercise your way out of a bad diet. And I thought about Joy Winchester. And he gave the analogy. He said, you know how hard it is when you're on a treadmill and you're running, and it seems like you run for like 5 hours and you burn about 500 calories, which is very good. But then he said, you realize that's 2 cookies. The survival brain versus the thriving brain. What say you, Joy Winchester?
That's a lot to unpack. And I think that's a brilliant doctor. Brilliant. Because as they say, abs are made in the kitchen. You got to eat right. And because here's the thing, you can't fuel an engine to go further if you don't give it the right fuel,
That's
right?
very true.
I
Very
mean,
true.
I would not put soda in my car and expect to go anywhere. You got to give it what it needs. So, anyways,
Right.
and I think that is something that is interesting to me. And I think I told you the other day, wouldn't life be so much easier if the best thing we should do for ourselves was the easiest thing? You know what I'm saying? I mean, how easy would it be if we did not have the temptations, all the things? It is so much easier to not exercise, to not focus on a good diet, to not think about, someone said to me, someone on this call said to me one time when I showed him my diet and showed him what to do, I believe you said you'd rather die happy and early than eat like I eat and live, a day or two longer.
I don't recall that.
Something,
Moving right along.
something like that. And it's funny because this is definitely not a diet show, because if it was, I'm the most obnoxious person. Look, I hate myself. I don't like who I've become, right? And it's one of those things where I hope to have grandchildren one day.
Mm,
And I want to be able to run with my grandchildren and pick them up. And, I know I'm going to die. I just want to get there. What does they say? The difference in aging and having health at the end of age. And there's two words for it. But, anyways, I'm in class right now, so I'm brained a little fried. But all that being said, the saying that Christopher Robin says to Winnie the Pooh, oh, it makes us feel good. It
mm,
makes us feel amazing. I am braver than I think I am. I am smarter. And I think sometimes, a lot of times, I think even I have to remember, and everyone has to remember, you're really not.
mm,
Because at the end of the day, your brain wants to keep you alive. And sometimes standing up for what's right is going to put you in a threat. And your brain's not going to want you to be brave. Your brain's not going to want you to do what it needs to do just because it's the right thing to do. Sometimes, you're going to be so stressed out, you're not going to have access to your frontal lobes. So you're not going to be smarter.
mm.
And it's one of those things that make you feel good. And you enlightened me today to the last part of that statement, which is, and loved more than you know. And that is true. A lot of people are loved more than they really understand and believe because of whatever stories we tell ourselves. But all that being said, you got to prepare.
Yeah,
You got to be ready. And you
yeah,
can't expect to say when that challenging moment shows up, Christopher Robin told Winnie the Pooh I would be brave. You might have lied because you're going to have to do the hard things. You're
yes,
going to have to do hard things so you can keep doing hard things.
yeah.
And hey, you got a minute? Because that's all the average American has is 1 minute. Our attention spans are so short that we really don't have time to focus on anything else. But here's what's crazy. We know more about how our cell phones work than our brains work. But who has time to dive deep into neuroscience? You do. 1 minute a day. Dive in. Just, hey, you got a minute. Neuro Minutes to Microdose Neuroscience. Grab a copy. Change your life 1 minute a day.
And go and get the book. It's awesome.
And I'm saying all this because sometimes doing the right thing is often the lonely thing. And it's so hard to go against your brain that wants to keep you alive. But I'm going to tell you right now, had I not have done that, I wouldn't have thrived.
I agree.
That's,
I agree. Joy, one of the things that is interesting is, because we talk about youth, we talk about how to relate to youth,
Mhm.
we talk about youth behavior, we talk about all those things, but what we're talking about right now, even though it's pertaining to youth, it's kind of that same thing with adults as well. Because when it comes to youth, we teach them, plan the work and work the plan, and you'll do this and you'll do that, and we tell them, we realize that without a plan, that you can expect negative outcomes, and by default even. And but then when we look at ourselves in the mirror, I was listening to a gentleman named Mansfield Key the Third, Pete Keys, a good friend of mine. You know him as well,
Good
Joy.
guy.
He says there's this thing called a mirror and a window effect. And he says, when we do something well, we look in the mirror, ooh, look how good I've done. Look at what I've done. I'm so good at what I do. And then he said, when you look in the window, you're like, oh my goodness, they're doing so bad. Look at those people out there. He said, but what we should teach ourselves to do is to flip it. When things are going bad, we should pay attention to maybe what I could have done differently. And when things are going really good, give the credit to others because nobody made it there on their own. Doing the hard thing, Joy, is not an easy task.
So, what's fascinating about Pete Key is he has taken a cognitive distortion called the self-serving bias and turned it into an analogy that um, all of us can understand, right? And that is when something good goes right for me. I worked hard. I did the work, right? I studied hard. I'm smart. But when something bad goes wrong, it's the teacher didn't like me.
Mm-hmm.
The world's an unfair place.
Yeah.
And that's just pure survival. The
Hmm.
brain is trying to keep you alive and acknowledging your shortcomings. I didn't study for the test enough. I follow a diet, but snacking is another 800 calories that I don't really account for.
Hmm.
And that happens a lot. I mean, that those are things that I see people do all the time. They're like, Joy, I eat so healthy. Why am I gaining weight? And, for me, having lost 100 pounds and kept it off now over 3 years, I have to watch the snacking because it adds up quick.
Yeah.
Meals are easy to plan. I get those done easy. It's that snacking piece, especially before or after a workout. Because after a workout, I can eat a small dog. But, I mean, after a workout, I'm ready. But that's that piece I think that's important is that we have to understand that we're always going to default
Yeah.
to the easiest pathway. The brain is lazy. You're not lazy. The
Hmm.
brain is lazy. And I just did a session on the neuroscience of motivation. And I thought it was fascinating that a lot of people aren't aware that motivation has a genetic component. 50 to 60% is part genetics.
Hmm.
And this is why some people can start working out and it just flows for them. The
Yeah.
discipline just seems to flow and they showing up every day. And then other people, they've got the whole Lululemon outfit, the shoes, the hair tie, the bag, the Stanley cup. They coming and you see them 2 times and they gone. And I
Hmm.
have no judgment for that, but it's like, that showing up, that's a genetic piece. And here's the thing, it's only 50, 60%. That
Yeah.
means you got over half, or you've got half that you can control with environment.
Mm.
So resilience is also
Yeah.
got a genetic piece.
And
IQ
so,
is a genetic piece.
yeah.
So I think that's something is if I know my IQ is average, then I'm going to do the work that I need to do. I'm going to know I'm going to need to study a little bit longer than the smarter people in my neuro classes. I'm going to need to read a little bit more and to break it down a little bit simpler so I can grab it and apply it to real world. But I think that's where a lot of our kids get mixed up. They assume that this magical power is going to come out of nowhere when it's most needed. And I
Yeah.
think my thing is there's a lot of disappointed people out there. There's a lot of women and men who are in marriages they hate because they don't want to get out because it's simpler, it's safer to stay in a marriage with someone you're not even friends with, but y'all both make good incomes, you have a house and a home together, and
Right.
you live different lives, but why not?
Right.
It'd be terrible to start over.
Absolutely.
Um, so I think that you only live once,
Hmm.
and hopefully you're thriving, not just surviving.
Right.
I read a quote the other day, and it's an anonymous quote, and I love to share it with the inmates, and it hits them hard. It hits me hard. It haunts me to this day. The definition of hell is when you die, the person you've become meets the person you could have been.
Mm.
And I'm sorry, that's not going to come easy.
Hmm. Hmm.
That's not going to come easy. You've got to fight for that person every day because your brain just wants you just to be mediocre, laid back, and chill, if that
You
makes sense.
know, that reminds me of there was a gentleman who passed away. His name was Miles Monroe, and he was a prolific speaker. He was excellent. He passed away some years ago. And one of the things that he said, an analogy that he gave was a grave, and a person passes away. And when they pass away, outside of that grave, the spirit of that person comes up and looks down at the grave and says, I'm so mad at you because I never lived all those good things that they could have done. I've never became those things because you died before you passed away.
Oh,
I was
wow.
like, oh man, ooh, that was so powerful. But Joy, none of this doom and gloom. We got to give them some
Nope.
solutions. Got to give them some solutions. So one of the things that I think is a good takeaway would be to make sure when you have a plan, make sure you write that plan down, because I've always been told that a goal that's in your head is just a wish, but a goal that's on paper, now that's a plan. And I've also remember this ancient Chinese proverb that says a short pencil is better than the longest memory. So make sure you have a plan, but write it down so that you don't forget that plan.
Visualize what it looks like to get to your goal,
Mhm.
what you're going to do, because the brain does not know the difference between what it experiences and what it visualizes. And this is why they use this tool a lot in psychology. It's visualization, and it helps you create those pathways. Plus, if you believe you've already done it, if you believe you can achieve it, then the brain will look for information in the world around you to show you you can. It's pretty cool. If you believe, I'll never do that. And
Mhm.
look, Anthony, when I was a size 22 and you told it, I remember thinking, if I could just get to size 12, I'll be happy. If I
Mhm.
could just get to a size 12, and someone gave me a pair of size 10 pants, and
Mhm.
I think I had them for like 5 years, and I finally gave them away. Today I'm a size 6.
Mhm.
That is something I never thought I could do. But every time I hit a milestone, I would imagine myself at my next milestone.
Oh,
And
that's
you're right.
good.
You had to have it written down. You
Yeah.
have to have it written down because, and even in these neuro classes I'm taking now, it's funny, it's all online because my classes are in Australia. But guess what? All the work is PDFs that we have to print and write.
Mhm.
Right. Because our brilliant Dr. Sarah McKay knows that you can type, but it's not the same as writing. And she doesn't want you to write during lectures. She wants you to read the materials and write. She has
Mhm.
writing prompts, so that way the information becomes part of your knowledge base. But
Very good. Very good. Another thing they could do is break it down into small chunks and to
chunks.
make sure that they do something progressive on it daily, if possible. Daily. Don't lose focus. Stay on it daily. Break it down. Take small steps. I think you call it baby steps all the time, Joy. Take baby steps, one foot in front of the other. So that's how you climb the mountain. And
And
that's it.
tangible steps, tangible
Intangible.
steps. So it can't
Absolutely.
just be, I'm going to be better at football. No,
Mm.
it needs to be, I'm going to be better at running defense. Well, what part of running defense?
Mhm.
I'm going to be better at catching, or I'm going to be better at, it needs to be a tangible piece so that
Mhm.
you know exactly what to work on. So if you're looking at trying to change exercise and diet, back to your original example,
Mhm.
don't do it all at once. You're going
Mhm.
to run out of cognitive steam. So you
Mhm.
pick one thing. I'm going to cut sugar, not carbs, sugar. I'm going to cut fat, right? You pick one thing and then you just keep building on it. And
Yeah.
those little goals and tangible goals, not just my goal is to eat healthy. How many New Year resolutions start with, I'm going to be healthier in 2026? It's not tangible. There's nothing to attain there because you haven't set those goals. And look, every time you hit a tangible goal, you get a dopamine hit, which keeps you more in I love that people think here we go, I'm gonna give you time for your Zig Ziglar. People think motivation comes before success builds motivation.
Yeah, that's good. That's them. That's Zig. And to bring it back to youth, man, when we're dealing with youth, we need to understand and have a little empathy, a little grace with them, because as you can see, even things when it comes to adults, we are still challenged with different things. We've reached the end of our show. So remember this, to be kind
Stay curious.
and keep showing up. That's it.
Bye, y'all.
I wrote a book. Go check it out. Now, the book is called How to Eat an Elephant. And the old adage, of course, is one bite at a time. It's a book about young people and how to work with youth today. But it's more about you, the adult, the person that cares for the young person, the advocate, the person that works with young people all the time. I want you to check it out.
Finally, a book written by someone who's walked the walk and not only talks the talk. Real talk. Deuces.